The Pentagon dropped massive batch of UFO records for the entire world to see. The first release happened on May 8th. Then another huge batch arrived on May 22nd. Together, they contained hundreds of documents, videos, images, and audio files. Several newly released reports describe military pilots encountering objects they couldn't identify. One report involved orange glowing spheres. According to testimony, these objects appeared to maneuver around aircraft. Now, before we jump to aliens, pilots can encounter unfamiliar drones, sensor errors, or atmospheric effects, but investigators still considered these incidents unusual enough to document. And that's what makes them interesting. Not proof, but unanswered questions. Was it secret technology, foreign surveillance, optical illusions, or something far stranger? And strange encounters dating back almost 80 years. Some of these reports sound like they came straight out of a science fiction movie. First stop takes us to New Mexico in 1948. At the highly sensitive Sandia military facility,
What in the world?
security personnel began reporting strange objects in the sky. Over the next 2 years, between 1948 and 1950, investigators documented 209 sightings around the area. Witnesses described glowing green objects, fireballs.
209? That's impossible.
Witnesses described glowing green objects, fireballs, bright lights, and disc-shaped craft. Now imagine being assigned to guard one of America's most important military facilities. Your job is already stressful. Then glowing green objects start flying across the desert. That wasn't covered in basic training. The Sandia reports become even more interesting when you consider the location. Nearby sat Los Alamos, one of the centers of America's nuclear weapons program. Many UFO researchers have long noticed that sightings often seem concentrated around military and nuclear facilities. That doesn't automatically mean anything extraordinary. Military sites have more observers, more aircraft, and more radar systems. But when over 200 sightings occur near strategic facilities, investigators naturally pay attention, and many of those Sandia cases remain unexplained today. One of the most discussed videos in the release originated over Syria in 2021. Military infrared sensors captured footage of an unusual object moving through the sky. At one point, the object appeared to accelerate before disappearing from tracking systems. Was it extraordinary? Maybe. Was it a sensor artifact? Also possible. That's the challenge with UFO investigations. The footage creates questions, but rarely provides complete answers. Popular answer online. The files didn't just contain reports from Earth. They also included records from space missions. During the Apollo 12 mission in November 1969, astronauts Pete Conrad, Alan Bean, and Richard Gordon described seeing flashes and streaks of light. The strange part? Sometimes they saw them even with their eyes closed. NASA eventually concluded the effect was likely caused by cosmic rays interacting with the astronauts' visual systems. Scientific explanation? Yes. Slightly terrifying? Also yes. In December 1972, during the Apollo 17 mission, astronauts photographed 3 bright points arranged in a triangular formation. The image became one of the more discussed records in the release. Investigators reviewed the photograph. Researchers debated possibilities, yet no universally accepted explanation emerged, which in UFO history practically guarantees people will still be arguing about it 50 years later. Another historical case involved the Gemini 7 mission in December 1965. Astronauts reported observing an unidentified object while orbiting Earth. Mission Control investigated. Possible explanations were proposed, but the report survived long enough to become part of the newly released archive.
Whoa, the clock's going backwards!
Fair enough. If astronauts start reporting mysterious objects, nobody sleeps comfortably afterward. One pattern repeatedly appears throughout the files: military facilities, air bases, weapons testing ranges, strategic installations. These locations generate a surprisingly large number of reports. There are several possible explanations. Military sites use advanced sensors. personnel constantly monitor the skies, aircraft activity is higher, and unusual observations are more likely to be documented. The more you look, the more you notice. A common question is simple: why are there more UFO reports today? The answer may actually be technology. Modern aircraft carry advanced radar systems, infrared sensors, tracking cameras, and powerful detection equipment. We're observing the sky in ways that weren't possible decades ago. Scientists examining these files generally agree on one thing: unidentified does not mean extraterrestrial. An unidentified object is simply something that hasn't yet been explained. Many cases eventually turn out to involve drones, weather balloons, birds, atmospheric phenomena, or sensor errors, but a small percentage remain unresolved, and those unresolved cases continue attracting attention. Here's something many headlines leave out. The Pentagon has repeatedly stated that none of these files provide confirmed evidence of alien spacecraft. That's important. The government released reports, not proof of extraterrestrial life. Some sightings remain unexplained. But unexplained and alien are not the same thing. A mystery is still a mystery, not automatically an answer. The reason UFO stories never disappear is simple. Humans love mysteries. We want answers. We want explanations. We want to know whether we're alone in the universe. And every time a government releases another batch of UFO files, curiosity returns stronger than ever. Because maybe, just maybe, the next document contains the answer everyone has been searching for. After examining hundreds of newly declassified files, what have we learned? We learned that military personnel, intelligence officers, pilots, and astronauts have reported unusual observations for nearly 80 years. We learned that many cases eventually receive ordinary explanations, and we learned that some cases remain unresolved, not because they're definitely extraterrestrial, but because investigators simply don't have enough information. The biggest revelation isn't aliens, it's transparency. For the first time, the public can examine many of the same records government investigators reviewed, and somewhere inside those hundreds of pages, videos, and reports, a few mysteries are still waiting to be solved. Maybe future releases will provide answers, or maybe they'll create even bigger questions. Because if these files prove anything, it's that humanity's curiosity is far from finished. And neither is the UFO story.